So Sri Aurobindo had studied quite a bit and made many different um, many different overviews of what has happened. Let me start again. Many different overviews of his concept. There is the whole book which is called The Hour of God and other writings. And there you can see all those schemes which I'm showing here in the PowerPoint presentation. Let me open again. It disappeared somewhere. Oh, here it is. So I do not know whether it is ringing the bell for you, all these kind of vision from the highest absolute to the most manifested world. For me, it was an absolute study. I needed it most, and it is totally necessary for me with the interest in how the one became many. And so I wanted to know how Sri Aurobindo saw it. So in his long study, he made several schemes, which at the end resulted in this divine plan. Somebody made, combination of all these different levels. I'm showing here some of the, it is just a retyping of this, of his own writings, you see. It is how he was writing, making his, it's a manuscript, Supreme Self-Contained Absolute. And the first, second, and third absolute, fourth absolute. So there are absolutes one after the other. So I just typed out from there. So the first absolute, tat, tat means that. The absolute transcendent. The supreme, parat, para. So what is parat, para? The kind of transcendental to the transcendental, the beyond of the beyond. So it is what we could associate with as Purushottama. Purushottama, the supreme person beyond Sat and Asat, as in the mother scheme, as you remember. It is him, and that is what we call the divine, who always is and is not, because his being and non-being are only the modalities of his own. So he is free from either of these. Second absolute is Sat. It is being, the supreme self-contained absolute existence, which is known to us as Satchit Ananda. Ananda uniting Sat and Chit. Holding in its absolute unity the dual principle, he and she, Sach and Sa. And the fourfold principle, Om, with its four states as one. Now this Ananda is a big discussion throughout the philosophical literature, and also Sri Aurobindo gives it a very special place. Here he says that it is uniting Sat and Chit, the being and consciousness. So being and consciousness are united through bliss. So if we are becoming aware of any part of being, that is resulting in bliss. So the bliss is a result of being aware of one's own being.
Yeah.
That makes sense totally. The moment we are really aware, truly aware of anything, it results in bliss. That's why we are looking for knowledge. We are looking for knowledge because we are seeking that bliss, truly speaking. And even more, bliss is also a proof of a true knowledge. So anytime we have a real, true insight, it is very joyful.
Mm. Yeah.
You can see many people who have this insight, they start smiling. This is a typical, very different smile than just excitement of the vital. Yes, it is cognizable. It is some kind of internal. You see it in the Buddha statues, and this internal smile of recognition of the truth. It is that bliss. And of course, it is the product. A product in a way that Sat and Chit are two fundamentals. If the he who is aware of himself, that is his bliss. So the whole manifestation took place because he wanted more bliss. So he was not kind of totally satisfied with being aware of himself, with his total identity, as Mother says. It was the ananda of the absolute identity. He wanted the ananda of unity, not of identity. And that means he wanted to have another whom he could be united through consciousness and recognition. That's why we are attracted to everything in the world to learn about, because we are extracting that bliss, that additional ananda, as Mother says. We are drawn to this additional ananda. That was the purpose of creation, original purpose, fundamental purpose. Everything else followed, yes, all the fall and evolution, redemption, everything would be the result of that need of the ananda of unity or additional ananda. And that's why we are attracted to things also, to all things in the world, and people and things and ourselves, in search of this bliss.
I have a question here, Vladimir.
Yes.
Isn't identity the same as unity? I mean, we are identifying with something, so we are uniting with it.
Yeah, well, that's how Mother uses these two words. Unity implies that that letter U, two
Okay.
in one. Huh?
Yes.
Identity is you yourself are identified with yourself. Mm. There is one identified with one. One equals one. There is a treatise by Pythagoras which starts with this statement: one is one, which is profound statement, by the way.
Mm.
We don't see it as meaningful too much. What is one is one.
Actually, I read this statement long ago and I never understood why he said one is one.
And then two is two is three, and
Yes,
three is
I
six.
remember now.
Yes, and this one is telling us that there is only one number among all numbers which is identical with itself or to itself. Only one number, which is a mystery, because you see, any other number we can understand through other numbers, but we cannot understand one because it is locked in itself.
Right.
It equals to one. So, by the way, this was the biggest question of my studies of the numbers. I always wanted to understand the one. I spoke already about this to you extensively, most probably.
Thank you.
So I understood two. Two is two ones, yes. Three is three ones, or two and one. So you can understand one plus two equals three. So all other numbers can be understood when one is defined. But when one is not defined, you can't understand any number. I asked this question to the professor of mathematics, and he told me, I asked him, can you explain to me what is one? And he said, "You're asking the most difficult question in mathematics." It seems this is the difficult question because he said, told me this, because it is the only number which you choose at will. So if I choose that this is 1 on the scale, then 2 is this. If I choose this as 1, then 2 is this, and so on. So whatever 1 I choose, that would determine all the other numbers. But the 1 can be chosen at will only. Because 1 equals 1.
Then what about 0?
Yes. Why Pythagoras didn't say anything about 0? Since we discussed absolute, maybe this is relevant. And many actually complained and said that Pythagoras didn't know anything about 0. 0 was discovered in India, and Pythagoras knew everything about India, by the way, and all that what India discovered, and why he didn't start with 0 and he started with 1. And I think he is right. 0 is not a number. 0 is a potential. 0 is not a number. Yeah? There is no number 0. Can you say that there is number 0? What is that number is? Number means some position to some position. Yeah? Is there some position of 0 to anything? So it's if we start analyzing, we will see that 0 is actually the potentiality, or let us say 0 tells us that there is nothing but 1. 1 immediately implies 0. So 1 equals 1, 1 is 1, tells us that 0 tells us that there is nothing but 1. And it is absolutely true. This is the meaning of absolute in the form of numbers. 1 is the absolute. Tat. That's why when mother makes this, you remember this beautiful picture with the Huta. I was showing this many times. Look at this. She comes from the inconscient up to the here. There is existence, consciousness, bliss, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat is the divine existence, yeah? And unmanifest, divine non-existence, Asat. So Sat, Asat, these are the levels, white color. Then she draws beyond the Supreme Person. This is the One. There is no 0 beyond. Beyond is the One who is all, including 0. Including his potential, this unmanifest is this potential of the One to be manifested. As Aurobindo explains, Saguna and Nirguna Brahman, yes, these two, Sat and Asat. So in Saguna, he manifests his infinite qualities. Yeah? And in Nirguna, he rests from those manifestations. He can withdraw from any being into non-being. Yeah, this is an amazing, because the Absolute has that power of not to be, but to be himself. And in that sense, nirvana, or Buddhistic realization of asat, basically it is a realization of asat, of shunya, as they call it, emptiness, where there is nothing but one. That's why Buddha could not say about this one anything, because they could say about shunya, because you have to deny every claim over that one. So once you deny all the claims, you create shunya aspect, concept, but then what is there in that shunya cannot be explained because there is no equivalent to that, because it's all. How can you explain all? You can speak about it in negative terms, neti neti, or shunya, or anything. You know? So it's a good discussion on absolute, by the way. It was drawn in some unexpected. I thought to just go through the slides, but good we jumped back and forth. Started with Ananda, yes? So this Ananda, this additional principle, or the additional Ananda, as Mother says, was his purpose, aim of creation. So he had all the bliss. He is omnipotent, omniscient, blissful, yes, present. He is omni in every way, alone, who alone is. Suddenly, he was not happy, as the Brahmana, Shatapatha Brahmana says. He wanted another. Sadvitiya Maichat. He wanted the second. For some reason, he wanted. How come he wanted it? And Mother explains this as the need of additional ananda to multiply. How can you how can he who alone was, who was one, multiply the ananda? The one could become any number. So how the one becomes many numbers? This is the question. Yeah? How the absolute becomes the manifestation. So in my studies of the numbers, I have found an interesting mathematical answer, arithmetical mainly. That the one is the biggest number, actually.
You just need zeros behind it.
Huh?
You just need zeros behind it, and then it grows.
Yeah, you can go that way, multiply zeros, to keep one and put zero, and zero can go on and on because it's zero anyhow. So there is potentiality, infinite potentiality of manifestation of one, which is his nature, one. But I was thinking more in terms of concrete numbers, less zero numbers. Yeah? And in that sense, I do not know whether it's even interesting to you, but for me it was absolutely interesting. I thought, I know what is 2, I know what is 3, because I have a 1, so I know 2 is 2 ones, yes? But what is 1? Yeah, it's not 0, definitely not. 0 tells me that 1 is, but what is that 1? And then I discovered that the 1 is actually the biggest number, the biggest in the whole system, because it is defining itself by itself, so to say, is defined by its own being. So you can't really fathom it. Yeah? You cannot really, I'm now philosophical, I'm speaking philosophically now, but mathematically, I started to deal with this number. So I noticed that there are 3 families, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yes, like 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 2 is 3 is the first family. Second family, 4, 5, 6. Third family, 7, 8, 9. And this is 3 times 3, and that's why we finish the family. And then we again start with 1, 0, and we start. Yeah? So if you analyze Kabbalistically, you will see that all these numbers are actually exactly reflecting 1, 2, 3. There are only 3 numbers, 1, 2, and 3, and they are modified in the second family, in the third family, and so on. How come? Yeah, because 4 is nothing but 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus 2 and 3 is 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. So 10 is the one in the next circle. So we have, this is Kabbalistic approach. You will see that we have 3 ones. That is 1, 4, and 7. 7 is 28 if you plus all of them. Yeah? It will be 28, and 28 is 2 plus 8 is 10 again. So we have again 1. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. We have 3 ones, 3 twos, and 3 threes in 3 different families within one row from 1 to 9. And then I noticed that 9 behaves interestingly, 8 and 9. 8 is 36, which makes it 9. So in the form it is, in the meaning it is 9, in the form it is 8. And 9 is 45, which makes it 9 in the form and in the meaning, Kabbalistically. So 8 and 9 are very closely related. They are both in the meaning of 9. So 8 is that, infinity, the snake biting its tail, or the balance of things, or infinity, or Möbius, the Möbius, this mathematical phenomenon, and then I understood that 9 behaves like 0, exactly like 0. So if I plus 9 to any number, it will not change it. So 1 plus 9 is 10. Boom. 2 plus 9 is 11, and 11 is 1 plus 1 is 2. So it doesn't change the number. So it behaves like 0, really. So, and I was very, or you multiply by 9, for example. You 1 by 9 equals 9. It's exactly like 0. If you multiply by 0, you will get 0. Any number multiplied by 0. Also, very interesting thing with 0. Why everything turns into 0 if you multiply by 0? It's kind of unbelievable, if you think of why it dilutes into 0 every number. It dissolves it into 0. You cannot, it's prohibited to multiply on 0. Why? Because it makes 0 everything out of the number. So number is dissolved like in the... So in that sense, I started to divide by 9, because first multiplying doesn't change anything. So you'll see 2 by 9 is 18. 18 is 1 plus 8 is 9. Every time 9. Whatever number you multiply by 9 will be 9 at the end. So you have the whole table, yes? 3 by 9, 36, 4 by 9, 36, sorry, 3 by 9, 27, and so on. You see 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5, 5, 4, and so on. And it's very easy to remember the multiplication table, because every time you will have 9 at the end. So then I started to divide by 9, and I started to divide from 1. 1 divided by 9, it became 0, 1 into eternity. 0, comma, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Just try to divide and make them on this machine, because I did it with the hand. Then I divided 2 by 9, and I received 0, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Then 3 by 9, 0, 3, 3, 3. 4 by 9, 0, 4, 4, 4. 5 by 9, 0, 5, 5, 5, 5. 6 by 9, 0. I was waiting for the surprise, 7 by 9, 0, 7, 7, 7, 7. 8 by 9, already 8. 0, 8, 8, 8 into the eternity. And then I divided 9 by 9. And what did I receive? What do you think?
1.
I received 0, 9 into eternity.
What?
0.
And this is the meaning of 1. This is the biggest possible number you can receive. 9 running into eternity. You cannot exceed this number. It's always infinitely running 9, the biggest. And if at the end, if possible, the end, there is no end, but at the end you will drop 1 at the end, it will rush and jump over the comma into 1. but there is no end. So you can imagine, whatever number you draw from 0, 9 into eternity before comma, into manifestation, into that 0, whatever numbers, infinite numbers, it will never exhaust the one. Because that 9 into eternity runs. There is no end there. Why I say 0, 9? Of course it is 1, as you rightly say. 9 divided by 9 is 1. But according to all this, if I start to plus 0, 1, 1, 1, 1 plus 0, 1, 1, 1, 1 9 times, I will get at the end 0, 9, 9, 9, 9. So this is the irrational part of the rational number 1. It is that which is hiding behind. And once I understood this, I had no questions on a Kabbalah. I understood how things work, what is 2, what is 3, in its real meaning. These are all manifestations of the Absolute. And this is about Absolute, the One. The one, that supreme person who manifests himself in 0, that 0, comma, and what 9. From there we can draw into this 0, into this manifestation. It's the field for manifestation, infinities and universes and so on. And it will never exhaust the one. There is a beautiful mantra on this, Purnamadav, Purnamidam. That is full, and this is full. And from fullness, fullness arises. And if you take fullness from fullness, fullness will still remain. So you can't exhaust this fullness. Even if you take all the fullness out of it, all, it will still remain, because that 9 into eternity will run and you can't stop it. This is an interesting point on the Absolute. And the third Absolute is Aditi, the mother. Aditi is the indivisible consciousness force and Ananda of the Supreme. M, its living dynamis, the supreme love, wisdom, power, Adya Shakti, the Tantra, Parabrahman, and the fourth absolute, Parameshvara, Parameshvari of the Tantra, Parameshvara of the Gita. These are early writings of Sri Aurobindo. They are very interesting to see how he was viewing the absolute. So Tat is something cannot be defined, yes, by anything. It's transcendental to the transcendental. The absolute Sat is the absolute being, the Satchitananda. Then this Satchitananda has to be dynamized in some way or another, and that is Adya Shakti, the first Shakti, the Divine Mother. The force, consciousness force, which is manifested as Ananda, as bliss. Because consciousness power is nothing but the outcome, the outburst is the Ananda. And then what is described as 2 in 1, embracing each other, Parameshvara, Parameshvari, he and she in the Upanishads found embracing each other and they got split. Yeah? And so the manifestation comes into being.
Adivar, you're going to send us all this, right?
Yes, yes. You don't need to write. No, it's all yours. And here, this is taken from the book. I take a snapshot. Here, Parameshvara, Parameshvari, Aditi, Sat, Tat, and the manifestation follows. In the manifestation.
Vladimir, before you go to the next slide, I had a quick question.
Sure.
The one before this, the one that was called the manifestation, in that, in this, the first absolute, this is the R sound, Second absolute is the U sound. Third absolute is the sound of Om. And this fourth is the silence, right? Can I understand it like that? The waking consciousness, sleeping, dreaming, deep sleep.
Well, it's far beyond that manifested yet. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yes, the archetype of that what we know as waking consciousness, sleeping, yes, it has to come from somewhere. Yeah,
Right.
it has to be defined before, otherwise, how it would come into existence. So the the archetype of, there is another word, the form, first form or proform, yes, that which is before the form comes into existence, that original form is somewhere there in the absolute, yes.
Because he says here the fourfold principle coming from that Mandukya Upanishad of AUM and the transcendent, and talks about it in Savitri. And because he says the M here, M,
Right.
it's living dynamis. That's
Ye-
why I thought about AUM and beyond.
yes, and here he also writes Om with four states or
Yes,
as one
yes.
in the second absolute, yeah. So yeah, it's such a big thing that I start applying mind, it becomes it escapes my grasp. Yeah, so to say, if I'm kind of making it too rigid with numbers, I manage to, by the way, to be rigid and to arrive at the understanding of the infinity somehow over the years and years of thinking what is one, yeah? And finally I found that the one is 0, 9 into eternity. After that I have no question, I know that number one is really the absolute, that self, that supreme person beyond being and non-being, Purushottama, the one who is, who manifests all other ones. How many? There can be infinite numbers of ones, and we are all ones of that one. Yeah. So, but for that he needs zero, and zero plays the role of the Brahman, of the spirit. He is the self, the Atman, and the zero is the spirit which takes into its, like yoni, samam Brahma of the Gita, which Sri Krishna calls the yoni for himself, into which he casts the seed. So the zero before 9 into eternity is that yoni, or the location into which the seed is cast, from which everything comes into being. So this hollow space, as it were, zero, which will be populated by the one in many numbers. I know it is the mind. We are beating around the bush because of the mind. Mind has a limited capacity, and to really break through that limitation is quite a task. And it is not happening often. Even if I say it right, even if I say it as it should be said, it it should be grasped, yeah, by consciousness, but it's not always grasped.
That is why maybe because we individuals all one. No individual is the same.
Right. Somebody was asking me yesterday in Sanskrit class about ahanta of the tantra, and what is this I-ness and thisness? Yes, which tantra speaks about the subjective and objective perception of the truth or consciousness. So this I, and the person told me very interesting things. So she was always struggling with this I concept. How's this I works? Yeah. Why I? It's interesting. It's such a insight, yes. the I is actually one. And this is the problem of I. Yeah? That very one, and we represent that one. And that's why we find our I always identified with any other I. We are looking for that identification. We want to see our I in others. Or let us say we want to expand our I into other eyes. And that's why everybody is seeking everybody. That's why on the physical level, it is everything eating everything. Yeah? Because I eats I. So because I is only one, but we are separated in time and space, and we want to come to that one I finally, because we somewhere we feel that we are one. We were always one, and we will be always one, but we are not one. And
That's
that
very
creates a
good.
paradox. Yes, Robin.
I was just saying that explains so much about human behavior, about how people feel about other people, what we yearn for in other people. You know, just I'm thinking just about little human behavioral issues, and that's that explains an awful lot.
Yes, because this is fundamental. Yeah? And we
Yeah.
will be always seeking for ourselves in others and others in oneself. We will be always doing it with love or with hate, doesn't matter, because this is the same movement for identification with the I. Yeah?
Mm.
Hate is only restricted love by inconscient and darkness and ignorance. So the intensity is so huge and the capacity is so small, so it generates hate rather than love. Or lust. What is lust? Is again to gobble, to possess, to identify, to make, to appropriate.
Yeah.
All these negative movements are actually because of the narrow consciousness, but the truth behind them is fundamental.
Yeah.
So this is the absolute. That's why we have to know about the absolute, because we would never understand anything about ourselves without the absolute. Something, some knowledge has to be there. Okay, we move forward, the manifestation. So he gives also Tat Sat, and then he comes to the manifestation. Manifestation is also spelled out by him. He is the printout, the snapshot from his book, Avyakta Paratpara. So Avyakta is unmanifest. Yes? Then Aditi, Avyakta is all those Satchitananda Paratpara, what we saw before. And then eternal manifestation, Parameshvara, Parameshvari, Adya Mahashakti. And then we have these known to us levels of the divine gnosis. Divine gnosis is the supermind. Satya Loka, Chaitanya Loka, Tapo Loka, and Ananda Loka. So these worlds are made in the supermind from the Satchitananda. Yes? Satchitapasananda is projecting itself into the supramental rain or supramental formation, and there in that supramental formation it is managed in a way which generates manifestation, the manifestation in the eternal time. The time is not yet spelled out in terms of time and space. It is still packed in the supermind. In the supermind, there is Trikala Drishti. All time is packed into one. And all the worlds projected from the higher transcendental realm into it are managed here in a new fashion. They generate those what Aurobindo calls revelation, inspiration, and viveka. You remember of these three movements or triple supermind. He will speak later about triple supermind, unity, the one in many, many in one, and many will be generated within the supermind. Here it is from his sketch. So from the divine gnosis, Gnostic level, that means supermind, Satyam Ritam Brihad, he calls it many times in the Secret of the Veda and everywhere else. The true, the right, and the vast, yeah, if we translate it in one go. Or the truth which is static, Ritam, the truth which is dynamic, and Brihad, the vastness. Maybe the one is the Satyam, the truth static. Ritam is 0, 9 into eternity, the truth dynamic. And Brihat is that 0 before 9 into eternity, that vastness, the potential everything, because 0 can take any number in. And then Aditi. You see Vijnaneshwara, Vijnaneshwari. Vijnana is already supermind. Vijnana Loka, truth mind, truth life, truth form in perpetual substance. We can't even speak about these things. I can't really tell you what it is. I don't know. But Tri 7, the supreme planes of the mother, this Tri 7 is a Vedic manifestation, as we know. Yes, 3 times 7 is in the Vedas are constantly mentioned. 21, and I identified it with the grammatical structure of Sanskrit language, thinking of these 3 times 7 as 7 vibhaktis, 7 cases, and 3 numbers. Yeah? So we have singular, dual, and plural, and we have 7 cases, starting with nominative, accusative, instrumental, dative, ablative, genitive, and locative. And if you analyze them, you will see the whole structure of Sat, Chita, Ananda, Vijnana, Manas, Prana, and Annam in the meaning in 3 numbers. This is amazing because Sanskrit language is embodying the whole instrument of manifesting all possible relations. And these are all possible relations our mind can generate. We cannot go beyond 7 cases. There are no more than just 7. So there is nominative always, someone is named in order. So we need that one, we need the one which will be equal to any number. So every statement is a particular equation where something is equal to some or some relations or some qualities. So if I say I am a student, so I, one, equals to a student. I am a teacher, then I am a teacher. I am a brother, I am a father, I am stupid, I am clever, I am whatever I am. I am going home, a predicate. So I equal going home. So I can be anything in the world. This is 0 and all my possibilities of the one to identify with many, 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 many formations. This is how language functions. Yeah. Again, this absolute and language. Now from mathematics we move to linguistics. And it's quite interesting. So yeah, I can be anything and everything, and at the same time, this equation, once it is finished, the statement is clear. For example, a tree is beautiful. Yeah? The tree is what? Drying, dying. The tree is growing, and so on. So the tree can be many, many things. The tree is the one. And then once the statement is finished, we understand the meaning. If I am not finishing the statement, it will not be clear. If I say the tree is, and then I will continue to say something else, you will be still waiting for me to conclude that statement. Makes sense. Huh? There are some people who can speak in this way. You know, I wanted to tell you that I am, you know, many times when we speak about ourselves, we usually do not know how to even start our speech. And you're still waiting for I am, because all this, and I can speak for hours without concluding that, and you will be still waiting for me to conclude because it doesn't make any sense to say something and to leave open. Just like say 1 equals 1, it's not a statement. I have to say 1 equals 2 minus 1. Oh, okay, now I know why you say. Otherwise, it's not clear why to say 1 equals 1. I have to make some statement in the other half to explain what I want to say. Because each statement is a message. Well, I'm going away to the linguistics. But this, again, is that absolute sense. And there are only 7 relations possible in our mind. So there can be 1 equals, that is means there is a predicate which will explain the one. An explanation can be, for example, I am going. No? This is already going home. Home is my object. That's where I go. So this is accusative case relating to I. I and home, and relation is going. Me going home. No? 2. Nominative accusative. 1 and 2. This is important too. The 3, I am going home by bus. Or quickly. Or slowly. It has to answer to the question how, by what, with what, instrument. So I am going home by bus. So 3 words. So by bus, home, I. I home by bus. Clear. 3 cases. The 4th case is amazing. These 3 cases is the full statement. I am going home by bus. It's a complete absolute statement, cannot be more complete. It does not require anything else. The rest of 4 cases will be additional. It's like Vijnana starting from. For what I go home? I go home by bus for dinner. So this dinner, the aim of me going home by bus is going away from the major statement. It explains something which is to happen, what for I am doing this. This doing is absolute. It's like Satchitananda, absolute within itself. Me, home, with in some way, I'm connecting home. Yeah? This is what Aurobindo says. Ananda is connecting Sat and Chit. Yeah? It's by bus I go home. It's home and me are connected by bus. It's really amazing how mind takes these prototypes, yeah, or the archetypes, and puts it into action. So this for dinner is additional. It's like all this Satchitananda is for manifestation, for Vijnana. It is in Vijnana that we will have Sat, Chit Loka, and Ananda Loka manifested. Yes. So I'm for dinner. And then ablative case. because, this cause and aim, because my father called me, or because the work is over in the city, or because some cause has to be there. Yeah, somebody called me and I'm going for dinner. So that cause, interesting thing, cause and effect. Yes, dative is effect, what for I'm going, and ablative is the cause, because of what I'm going, the reason. Yeah? Or from the office, I'm going from the office home by bus for dinner. From the office, ablative. I leave something behind, something belongs to the past, something determined my activity onto the future. So this dative and ablative is past and future, cause and effect. Absolutely necessary for the functioning of the mind and the whole manifestation for that reason. And then we have two more final. The lowest is the genitive case. I am going home to my mother's home, for dinner by bus from the office. So to my mother's, interestingly, genitive case does not require the verb. It requires only the noun. So my mother's home, or my home. That my requires only home. So it is in relation. It determines relation between the substantives, between subjects. So genitive case is relational case. Yeah, it puts in connection all the subjects. And finally, the locative case. It can be in the town or on the street or 6 o'clock in the evening. It can be in time and space, location in time and space, which is actually the matter, the material. Relation, higher case, the 6th case, is pranic. All meanings are related in life energy. And the cause, it's a higher level. I'm starting from bottom up, is mental. It's always looking, mind is always, manas is always looking for the cause. What was the cause for this action? I have to know where the things is coming from, understand. Yeah. Avagachati in Sanskrit, go down, go to the root of things, see where the seed is starting from. Once I understand the beginning, I understand what is coming. This is how mind works, mental. And the supramental is interesting. It's just different. It's what for. It is always future oriented. It's never past oriented. It's always onto something, for something. And then there is first 3. It is nominative, accusative, and instrumental. 1 + 2 is 3, pure transcendental family. Now I described you the grammatical relations within the mind, and there are no more. So there's only this possible statement in all languages, by the way, not only English or Sanskrit. I am going home by bus for dinner from office, 6 o'clock in the evening, to my mother's office, to my mother's home. I'm sorry. One more. I'm going home. I'm going to my mother's home by bus for dinner from office, 6 o'clock in the evening. This is it. That's all what we can do with our mind. This is the limitation of our mind. Only these categories and relations we can cover. And these are 7. And there are 3 numbers: singular, dual, and plural. Plural is 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. And so you have 21 case. 3 times 7, supreme planes of the mother. You see, so long I was explaining the supreme planes of the mother. In linguistic terms, if you have any other vision of the mathematical, you can also find that explanation. All right, I will stop here. I didn't expect this to happen this way. We need more time for these issues to really dive into. I do not know whether it is meaningful to you, because I'm kind of excited to come back to these topics, because I left them long ago. You know.
Well, this was very interesting and something to think about. Thank you.
It's like the foundation of everything.
Yes.
You know, it's hard to kind of understand. I've got an idea, but to really understand it and have a functioning knowledge of it is would be very nice. That would be a great achievement in life.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. And yeah, if you put questions to these cases, you will see what we have to cover when we deal with reality. We have to cover what, or rather who, what, how, what for, because of what, to what it relates, and to where in time and space. If we answer to all these 7 questions, we will have a proper, perfect system. The problem with us is that we cover few of them and not in a proper hierarchy. We don't start with who, we start what for or why, and our why is also very muddled. Our why covers also the aim and the cause, the reason. We do not really distinguish the reason and the aim. In Sanskrit, they distinguish, say what for and because of what. So these are 2 different things in Sanskrit, but not in English. In English, why covers both, and that creates some kind of uncertainty, unclarity. So if we cover who, what, how, what for, what is the reason we are doing it, also reason and name, 2 different things, to whom or how it is related to what, the relations, we have to clarify the relations, and in location in time and space, so the framework in time and space. So you look at any business proposition from these 7 points of view, you will have a perfect system if you answer all these 7 questions, because there are no more questions to answer. But if you skip one of them, like who or what for or how you will be doing it, or the frame in time and space, the framework, then you would be having deficient system.
It has to be in this order, Vladimir?
This order is better because this is a hierarchy of meaning. It's like 1, 2, 3. So you cannot get 3 without 2. So you cannot get how without who and what for. You cannot get how. So if you start getting how before knowing who, then you break the hierarchy. Of course, you may kind of catch up later with who, but then it is a different way of thinking.
So, Vladimir, how does this relate to the planes of the mother?
Right. These are the 7 planes. I didn't show you the whole. It would be easier to show the slide. Unfortunately, I was only talking. These are 7 planes, yes, and they are. Maybe I will find for you. But it was in the linguistic department we were studying this. You remember on the language on Sanskrit? You joined on Sanskrit, no? No.
No, I
And
think
there I was explaining how Sanskrit beautifully covers everything in this meaningful. Let me find this. Foundations of Sanskrit language. This is not the thing. If you would see this structure, you would immediately understand. You have to see it visually. Unfortunately, I can't find it now. I will find and send you. So you will see the whole, oh, I will find it now. Wait, 1 second. It is not in the presentations. It is in Sanskrit language section.
It's okay. You can find it and send it.
Right. I'm already here.
It will just clear up the mind a little bit more.
Right. Here it is. I'm projecting. Wait a minute, since I already found.
Okay.
Because it's relevant now, but later it will be irrelevant immediately after some time. So I will project it. 20 minutes, stop projecting this and start projecting this. Here you can see 7 major karakas. I'm not going into the grammatical stuff, but here you see karta, karma, these are the names of the karakas. Karanam, Sampradanam, Apadanam, Sambandhah, and Adhikaranam. If you translate these words, they are also very significant. And how Panini describes them in his sutras also is profound. So first is who, next is whom or what, yeah, the object, and then how with who, by what, with what instrument, for who, for what for, the aim, from who, why, what is the reason, the cause, whose, question, to whom it belongs, how it relates to other relations, and where and when we can add in time and space. So when he starts describing, and this is interesting, nominative case, that nominative one, and notice one is nominative, yeah? The tree, and the tree itself is in itself the thing, yeah? The major name. And he describes as Svatantra Karta. The due is Svatantra, is independent. The nominative case is the only case which is independent case. Like 1 equals 1. Yeah. All the rest are dependent. Yeah. I am independent, but I am going home. Home is dependent on me going home. If I say home, you'll say, so what home? Going home. Going home. Yes, clear. Yeah. For dinner what? I for dinner. You for dinner. Okay, clear. So without that svatantra karta, nothing comes into the meaningful statement. You know? Kartuch ipsita tamam karma, and karma is the most desired to realize by the doer, by the actor, by karta. So that which is most desired object is the accusative case. You know? Home is my desired object. I am going home. Home is my aim. Yes, where I am going. But I'm going home for something. It is secondary object. And interesting how he describes dative, karmana yam abhipraiti sasampradanam. The dative case is that which one is seeking to reach by the accusative case. So I'm going home because there's something else to do from there. It's a new ground for me. It's amazing. If you start analyzing semantics of these relations, you will get into the understanding how our mind functions. And the order is the hierarchy is important. It clears up the mind.
Mm.
All right, we can stop here. I'm already 11:11. 4 ones.
Thank you so much, Vladimir. This was so amazing. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Right, so it is relating to our mind, to our life, to our being. It's not something philosophy in the clouds, you know.
No, it's very, very deep. You have to sit and meditate about this.
Yeah, you have to study it. If
Yeah.
you study it, you will kind of investigate yourself. You will find so many answers. Great. Okay, I will
Thank you.
close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Namaste.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.